Well, good afternoon, good morning, good day, depending wherever you may be. My name is Gugulethu Xawa, your host of Amandla Omnotho, Rural Chamber of Commerce and Operation Buyelekhaya. It's a pleasure to have you today. And we are very excited that we once again meet during this time where we talk nothing else but entrepreneurship and offering opportunities, sharing opportunities, getting experts and people will come here and be part of ensuring that we get empowered, we get to know what's happening, we get to know what's navigate carefully this terrain of entrepreneurship. It's not always an easy one. It needs brothers and sisters, it needs people that are going to come together, join forces, and make sure that they really lean on each other, help each other to grow, and open opportunities really to other people. And, networking with one another. So last week we had our youthful session. I think it was very, very beautiful. And I was talking to my colleagues from Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, and who cannot wait to be part of assisting our youth to really get to start businesses through AI. And I'm very excited that many of you, some of you rather, took up the opportunity last time and were able to enlist for training in Dubai on the artificial intelligence, because if you cannot really get to understand this technology, this new technology that is now in place, really you are bound to remain behind. And that's not what I think we want you and I and everybody else to do. We want you to be hooked to the new reality of what economy is and what's happening across the world and the new driver of economy. Long time ago, when IT became so prominent in business, there was a very strong emphasis that, IT is the backbone of every business. And I must emphasize that has shifted into AI. AI is now one of those things that you cannot not learn about. You cannot not want to understand, because if you really do not hook yourself to what is happening now in the current new world, you are going to find yourself, left outside, and you would not know why and what happened exactly. Why have you been shayiswa by iguzu? Ikushayise kanjani iguzu wayithola usungaphandle kwe-crawl? And so please, young people and those that have got young people, encourage them to be part of Amandla Omnotho Youth, because we are going to have a very important conference in June of this year. Our conference of Amandla Omnotho, we did mention that it has been postponed, shifted to a month now of August. We'll give you exactly the dates as to when in August are we going to have that conference, because we thought let's just prepare for it properly, thoroughly, carefully, and make sure that every one of you do attend. It's going to be a build-up phase towards June, even as we are having the conference of young people, wherein after that, we want to make sure that they too become integrated into the entirety of the Amandla Omnotho community for adults, for the entrepreneurs that are yours and my age. Because we don't want to leave them behind. We just want to make sure that they are part and parcel of the trajectory of the entrepreneurship landscape. We know that there is so much unemployment, so much challenges in our country, and we ought to ensure that we take that upon ourselves to push for young people to be part and parcel of this great landscape of entrepreneurship. So, and please just make sure that you keep in touch with us. WhatsApp will give you a link for young people who are part and parcel of Amandla Omnotho, who must really help drive entrepreneurship. Again, I must pass our greatest condolences to our brothers from the States who are here led in particular by my dearest brother Joe, on the passing of Reverend Jesse Jackson. We are very much with you, and I've had the privilege of meeting Reverend Jesse Jackson a few times in South Africa, and we took pictures, we spoke, we engaged on a number of things. And for his coalition push, we have, through one of our brothers who connected us, been working together, and we've got clips and videos of him talking to us about the importance of working together to drive economic development, especially of the African people who, as we know, have had serious challenges of segregation and discrimination in the past. And icons like him, who are great icons of America, they're great icons of ourselves as well in South Africa, because they were nothing else but great men who pushed for the unity of humanity and for all of us to work together and to never see each other through race, but to see each other as human beings whilst addressing issues that are still really very much a part of us as a society. So we are hoping that the family and the American brothers and sisters are comforted by the same knowledge that this man, America, but he worked for all of us across the globe. And once again, we wish you well and strength as brothers over that side. So thank you so much. I'm going to hand over. Thank you, Joe. I'm going to hand over now to our speaker, Karen Swanepoel. Karen is here, and I'm excited that she was here last week. Was I asked her to just have a peep to look through the window so that she knows who we are, what are we about, what's happening. I've known Karen for many years, as a matter of fact, and she has been steadfast in this field of essential oils. Karen Swanepoel is the executive director of SEOPA, Southern African Essential Oil Producers Association, and has been involved in many industry studies in the field of essential oils since 2000. She's lectured at various universities in subjects like botany, bioentrepreneurship, biotechnology, and environmental science. And Karen has presented papers at IPUF, which is Indigenous Plant Use Forum, since 2000, and on international level of WASP-MEP, which is World Congress on Medicinal and Aromatic Plants, as well as in the ISEO, which is International Society of Essential Oils, ASNAP, which is and as well as the Green Gold, SAP, which is African Association of Botanists, African COP Science, Agricultural and Training World Conference, ChemRound, which is Committee on Chemical Research Applied World Needs, Industrial Crops and Rural Enterprises, and attended IFIET, which is International Federation of Essential and Aroma Trade. She has also contributed to publications for the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, including Agriculture and Forestry, ACTA Horticulture. I present to you my dearest sister and a great person who has really been a zealot when it comes to essential oils in South Africa, Karen Swanepoel. Over to you, Karen.
Well, thank you so much for your kind introduction, and good day, everybody. On this day, it is wonderful to see so many people at this hour, at this time, wanting to listen to this wonderful world of essential oils that I've been doing for 25 years now. So I just want to give credit also to the producers, because without them, there's no oil, and without the oil, there's nothing to talk about. So all the kudos goes to the presenters, which I will introduce to you also as we go along. So yes, as the speaker has said, we have been formed in the year 2000, and it was formed by producers for producers. Very quickly, I had a knock on my door at then the Lowveld College of Agriculture, where it was formed, that we must stretch across the border. And so we changed our name from South Africa to Southern Africa. And at this stage, We also have people that are interested in Tanzania and also Ghana. So I don't know if we will change the name again, but so far, Southern African Essential Oil Producers Association was born in the year 2000. On my slide, you can see that this is definitely not a one-man show. And this is the map I did for 24, 25. I'm redoing it, as you know. 25, 26, 27 is coming up now. And we can see that there's quite a lot of producers all over the continent. Some of the people don't want their faces on there. So that is not the full picture, but it does give us an idea that it's quite well presented. And this is not just something that we thumbs up. So next slide here, as I once again welcome you to our beautiful world. It is wonderful what God has given us. And if you look at this slide, this is the farm in Limpopo. You see in the foreground, you will see that there's a baobab, and then there's moringa, and underneath the moringa, there's bulbine. So that is an excellent example of intercropping, and I will introduce you as we go along. But in total, we've got about 200 members, and there's a variety of
Ngiyabingelela lapho
species,
umuntu babona bephandle makhona baba khona ngiyabingelela.
a variety of products
Babingelela abantu bakhona.
that we are having sustainably and tested for quality. So this is our board members. They are all volunteers. Nobody is getting a salary from ZAHOPA. So it is the chairperson, Nana Makubu, and there's Rosemary de Pre. The three of us are on the SIP-C document, so we are the directors. All the others are co-opted, and as I said, doing it out of their heart and out of passion. If you look at this slide and you think it's old and ugly, just wait a bit, because I'll show you. We also have young people, and they are part of our members, and we also have a youth chamber for our beautiful youth. And you will see that the chambers were chosen where there's a lot of interest. So we've got classic oils, and that's the non-indigenous ones. You know, the lavenders and the geranium and also the lemongrass and all the beautiful ones. Then we've got cannabis, we've got geranium, we've got marula, Kalahari melon, we've got helichrysum, which is known as mpepu. We've got lepia, known as msuzwane, and then we've got tea tree, castor oil, cassava, and moringa, not indigenous, but really turning the wheels on this industry. And then we also have what we call kakibos, or blackjack, or the French know it as tagette, but we haven't got a chamber for that. But that is also produced in South Africa. So when people become a member, they can choose one or more of these chambers, and that is where we exchange our successes and we cry our hearts out about the failures, and that is where we learn, and that's how we save ourselves school fees. Just to show you that we are not dreaming a pipe dream here, this is the essential oil global market. And as you can see, it is really growing exponentially. So I do think that this is a very good time for anybody to get involved, as there is a growing demand. And that's what we want to hear, a growing demand for something and undersupply. So that is not Karen Swanepoel's statistics here. That's various sources, and you're welcome to go and look at some more. What I can say in a nutshell is South Africa has increased our exports from 0.5% in 2024 to 1.1%, but that's still of the world supply, and that was only in the last 2 years. So it's nice to share the good news. So we have grown from the 30th to the 17th largest exporter, where we were actually a net importer. And we can see, and that 51% growth was only in the last year and a half. In total, we have been exporting 4,441 tons of oil. It sounds a lot, but if you look at the rest of the world, it's really not so much. But 80% of that is citrus, and remember that's a byproduct. So after you have graded your citrus, you've done your juice, we get the oils out of the peels. And then 10% of that is eucalyptus. Remember, eucalyptus is an Australian crop, and we have passed Australia with eucalyptus production. The rest is a collection of tea tree, which is also Australian, Tagetes is the blackjack or the kalkibos as we know it, and all the other classic ones. There is one indigenous oil that make it with about 500 kilos, and that is buchu. The rest is really not over a ton. But I do think that this is good news, and I want to show you the space there is for growth. And that's why I'm putting the slide on. So this is the long list, and I will share this presentation with everybody. That is what we are doing in South Africa. And the list is not completed. You name it, we do it. And people also ask me, where does it go to? And it's going to aromatherapy, perfumery, it's going to quite a lot of different industries. And we also see the latest one now is going into food industry and also into the veterinary aspect, as I will talk to you about that a little bit later. So that's the long list, and as I said, it's not the end. You're welcome to have a copy of this slides. When we look at the market, that's the first thing people want to know. Where's the market? How big is the market? Will we not overproduce? What's the price? So overall, our prices, the value per kilogram have really increased, but production volumes have decreased slightly, and we see that T3 is still in a crisis, and that is due to the EU that has banned T3. Now, T3 is Australian, and South Africa have passed Australia also in T3 production. So for the first time in history, we're taking hands with Australia, working against the EU ban. Because if it can happen to T3 today, it can happen to any other oil tomorrow. And the reason is there was an experiment done on rats in a laboratory, but we are working together on that. We're working with the embassies, and we're trying to lift that ban very soon. There is definitely progress there, and I know the people in KZN are eating their nails because of this EU ban, but I can put you to rest assured we are working very hard on this. There is an increased demand for geranium, which is a South African originally plant globally, and that's because not only Mozambique, but Madagascar and Reunion and all those islands have had natural disasters, and they were supplying the world with uranium. So it's an excellent time for us to bounce back and to take our position in uranium production. Helichrysum is a very unfriendly name, but you guys know it very well as Mpepo. It's been an excellent season for that, and we can see that the world are actually hungry for ours. We are not the only country doing helichrysum. There is in South Africa alone, there's about 260 species, but we're looking at the botany of it, and we are helping the people to do the right one. Then the renewed interest in Lipia, this is known as Msuzwane, is now looked at for foot and mouth disease, and that really attracted a lot of attention. You know, it's a pioneering plant, which means it grows everywhere where the land is disturbed. So it's really a very well-established plant in South Africa. The Kalahari melon is cold pressed. It's not a steam distilled product. All the others are steam distilled. Kalahari melon is the oil, and we press this like we do marula, like we do baobab. And that oil of Kalahari melon can replace any oil in the cosmetic sector. It is also a winner as a single ingredient for cosmetics, meaning you can put only Kalahari melon on your skin, and that helps for anti-aging, for allergies, it helps for irritation and dermatitis. So I'm very excited to tell you that we've got both the steam distilled, and we also have the pressed oils. The picture that you see on the slide is not from AI. That is from a producer in Bronkhorstspruit. She's done a bumper crop, and we are watching this lady to see how that uranium is going to supply the gaps in the world market. Our next slide is just a little bit on the markets. This is the export markets, and you can see that the Netherlands are really buying most. I'm not sure what we're going to do with the gap if we are not allowed to, or if we can't export to the States anymore, but you can see that they're quite a significant player. Then Lesotho and Eswatini is also buying from South Africa. Interesting is Ireland, who suddenly woke up from a deep sleep because they started to make pharmaceuticals, and they decided South Africa is a country to import from. So we take their hands and we smile and we say thank you very much for the business. If you look at this slide, you will see that is what I was saying. There was a little bit of a decrease in the production of -2%, but a 51% in the growth of the value. That means every drop is almost doubled in size. Every drop of oil. And that's good news for us. That makes decisions very easy now. Should you do a cash crop? Should you do oil? Or should you do a combination, which we actually prefer people look at intercropping. So while you've got the one crop, you also do an essential oil on the side. We have been contributing to a lot of other associations like SAFI. SAFI is Southern African Association of Food and Flavoring Industry, and they're having a conference in March, which Saupa will also be a speaker. Then the botanical one, the second one is an international aromatherapy conference, and that is where we see our helichrysum will be featuring. Now, the aromatherapist pays the best price per kilo. They don't buy big volumes, but they really make good customers. Then the African Biogenome Project, SAOPA has participated in that, and we spoke on the origin of geranium, the ownership, and the future of it. SACU, as you know, it's the Southern African Customs Union. They have asked us for an interview, and we shared the data with them. That's all our neighboring countries, excluding Zimbabwe. Then in KZN, we did a presentation for the provincial event, same with Eastern Cape. And then in the Western Cape, we have signed an agreement to be a strategic partner where they want to do some development in rural communities with Bugu. We have made the Farmers Weekly, and that's going to be follow-up articles on that. And then with TIA, we are working on the cannabis and the castor oil. At this stage, we are just on the steering committee. So again, not a one-man show, but it's very nice to work with people that are in this together. The speaker, so they told you about IPAF, Indigenous Plant Use Forum. This year it is in KZN. And then also on the Science Forum South Africa, which was held at the CSIR a while ago, we could see that there's a lot of people interested and a lot of role players, and we like to take hands with them all. Lesotho and also Namibia and also Botswana visit South Africa quite a lot for training and for manuals, and then they partner with us. So we are really taking hands with the people across the border. Rather than to have a war over oil, we work together towards a common goal. So we plan to have more R&D formulation companies, and we're talking to, I call them the heavyweights. If you look on the internet, there's quite a lot of very strong ones, and we're working with two of the top 10 so far. And then we've joined forces with the Essential Oil Hub in Europe and also with the Europe Federation of Essential Oils, just to make sure if there's any bans, we've got a foot in the door. And these are the other associations we are working together with. In Zimbabwe, there's a Zimtrade initiative, second time around now, we're working with them. And I think that's very good for the continent, that to show that we are working on this together, especially if you look at something like marula, for example. There's a lot of marulas in Zimbabwe, and it's harvesting time at the moment. So we don't want to fight about it, we rather work together with it. The MAPS is a very interesting one. MAPS stands for Medicinal and Aromatic Plants Academy in South Africa, and that is for women. That's ongoing training. It was launched last year, and we will keep you up to date how that is going. That's ongoing training. So the alliances that we've also done is with SACOSA, that's the Cosmetic Export Council, and with BIA Zimbabwe, that's a bio innovation in Zimbabwe, just to make sure that we become stronger as we go along. So I'm not going to read this whole slide to you, but SAOPA has been formed by the farming community to assist others or new incoming farmers, and that is the key to success. That's how an industry must be built. If you share the successes and you save people school fees. If you want to do indigenous, I must tell you that you need permits. But this is how we are mapping all the indigenous plants in South Africa. Now, plants don't know political borders. So the same plants are also across the borders in our neighboring countries. And that is why we decided to rather work with them on these indigenous plants that we see there. Here is the winner of the single ingredient, that's Kalahari melon. And what you see there, it's not being planted. It's growing wild. But we did plant it in Tembisa to make sure we can prove that it is sustainable, and that we've been testing the oils as well. This is a group of people, and there's some people from Namibia and Zimbabwe that participate in the training. This was offered by United Nations. And quality is definitely the key here. Remember, we cannot compete with quantity because India and China is there. We cannot compete with price because India and China is there. But we can compete with quality. So that is what we are doing the training on, so that you can become a price maker instead of a price taker based on quality. What we've seen is if you don't have volume, you don't have voice. Now, what you see in this here is rosemary, and that is exported to Europe, and this farm is in the Free State. And we have a beautiful example here where the commercial farmers are supporting the emerging farmers with equipment, with the distillation unit, and together we do make up very nice, I think, position in the world. This is the Northern Cape. Beautiful lavender. If you close your eyes, you will think you're in France. But this is South Africa producing proudly lavender, and that is what makes agriculture very sexy for young people, because it's not just planting cabbages and tomatoes and filling your stomach. It's also making beautiful soaps, perfumes, and aromatherapy. Love the oils from South Africa. Here we see another slide from the Western Cape, and they are doing a lot of crops here. It's helichrysum, that's the Mpepu, the Cape chamomile, rose geranium, and then you have your classics, rosemary, lavender, and mint. And this farm is making a very good profit because they attract tourists. And we did touch on tourists last time, and I want to tell you, they are not coming there for the wine. They're coming for the herbs, and they are coming as tourists. So let them pay in dollars, let them pay in euros. This is a beautiful farm in the Eastern Cape, also doing lavender and rosemary, and also helichrysum and eucalyptus. Those of you who know this farm, it's Kobu Kobu. I can't do the click very well, but it's also a very, very beautiful example of how we can do this type of enterprises with success in areas where it's poverty stricken and where there's not a lot of opportunities. This is in KZN. And again, all these people are real. They have names. It's not AI. The guy who's sitting there is Mr. Henry Mashlobo. He's from Nkandla. And that is the province. KZN is the province that we get the most oils from. And look at the variety. You name it, KZN can do it. So we are very proud of our producers in KZN. In the Free State, people think nothing grows there. It's a price. Here we grow the very high value rose oil. That's the most expensive oil in the world. It's at the foot of the Maluti Mountains, close to Lesotho. And this farmer is also an engineer, but he's sharing his experiences, and he's also a proud member of us. He is fluent in Sesotho. There is also another Free State farm, and with a beautiful example of how you can work together with communities. He's doing the Artemisia afra, this is the Mhlonyani, and of course the Helichrysum, the Mpepu, the Tajet is the Kalkibos, and the Rosehip is not indigenous and it's cold pressed, but really a beautiful basket full of oils coming from the Free State. Here is Northwest. Here we have Kalahari Melon again, and we have all these shops. While the men are going hunting, the women going shopping. So they are going and they're buying beautiful perfumes and creams and oils, and that is how the Northwest Province can make a living also from these plants. Yes, back in Gauteng, where we do quite a variety of oils. You're welcome to also have a visit at this farm. It's a fantastic venue for a wedding or for parties, but they are making money not only from tourists, but also from the products that they deliver. This was one of the first organic herb farms in South Africa. Here we are in Limpopo, and if you close your eyes, you can imagine the smell. When they harvest those marulas, standing in line for amarula, we are using the seeds because that's a byproduct. We're pressing that for the most beautiful oil for your skin, for babies' bottoms, and now they're also putting it into hair products and also as sunscreen. So marula is not only amarula, it's also the beautiful oil from the seed as a byproduct. Here we have Mpumalanga, very much the same. There's Lipia, there's Moringa, there's Geranium, there's also eucalyptus, and of course there will be Marula as well. Not as much as in Limpopo, but it's also there. That is a code of the Lipia, and this province is doing beautiful. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more later. This is Mr. Obed Nelovolve. He is on our board and he's a technical expert. So any questions you have about any technical issues, it's over to Obed, and he's very helpful, very knowledgeable, and he always helps our people. When we have events, we always invite him as a speaker. So what we have is a basket of products, and this is what we did at the African Bio Trade Fair. We exhibited everybody's products. And if you think about that, we're not competing with each other. We are complementing each other here. In other commodities, competition is very strong, and you get mafia behavior. You get people who push each other out. In this industry, people are really taking hands. So this is our website. You're welcome to look at more social platforms and get more information. The time is not on our side. This is where we share the events. We're sharing our training opportunities, and we also link that to Facebook and to LinkedIn. And I'm very pleased to say that today's events will also feature on that. We have got a fantastic engineers in South Africa. I think that's one of our best export products, but we don't want them to leave the country. But these two engineers are exporting their equipment to the rest of the world, even to China, to Russia, to Germany. So we're very proud of them. What we did is we worked at production guides where people can actually get a production guide. We've got 10. These 10 we did for Zahopa, and for that you can buy them online. But for the exotics or for the non-indigenous one, that's free of charge because we did that for the Department of Agriculture. You can either get it on their website or on our website, or drop me a WhatsApp, drop me an email, and I will forward you the production guide to help you that you don't make the same mistakes as the before you. Very proud to say that South Africa has got 5 standards that we wrote. Remember, if you have a standard, you have a lever to a price. So we wrote one for rose geranium, for baobab, for marula, for lipia, Kalahari melon, and that's all published. It's available at the SABS, and we are busy now with the lipia, with the Mpepu, and it will also appear very soon. Some people say that we have to look at the Agriculture Business Chamber, and we see that they are looking as well at our industry with very close eyes, and they see the tie between the economy and also within the tourism industry. You must remember, every time South Africa was in a recession, it was agriculture that saved us. And now we've got tourism and we've got agriculture in this industry. So the person on this slide is Ivan Jabangu. He's also in Bronkhorstspruit. So this is to show you that this is really possible. This is what we offer to our members. We've got a code of conduct, so you better watch your step. You can't put one foot wrong, and because then you spoil it for everybody else. So that's a long list of things that we are offering for our members. You are welcome to go and look at our website, or drop us an email, or drop us a WhatsApp. We'll help you. This is what I'm telling the rest of the world. This is our strengths. We have got the government, the industry, and academia together. We're working on it to the same goal. We've got the research in place. We've got technology. Our quality control is now there because we're writing the standard. Of course, entrepreneurship is very, very important. But we've got the most beautiful sunshine and the most beautiful people with the most beautiful smiles in the world. And the person on this slide is Nana Makubu. She is our chairperson. So I just wanted to show you, this is our last conference that we had 2 years ago, and we're having another one this year in July. So I'm glad it's not going to be in the same date as yours. But watch out for notifications. It will be in the Botanical Gardens in Pretoria. It will be absolutely wonderful to meet you. Our theme will be advice to youth, so that you know there's something to look out for. And thank you for your time. I can take questions if there's any.
Well, Karen, thank you so very much. I see people are clapping hands. You can go ahead, colleagues, and clap hands for Karen. Thank you. That was very insightful and truly inspirational, as well as economical, if I were to say, because everything that you are talking about, it's about activating the economies. And as you are presenting here, thank you, colleagues. Many people come from diverse background all across the country. For people from Zimbabwe here, Eswatini, from the US, from Ethiopia, and elsewhere, and many obviously of them are here from South Africa. And I'm sure because, these seeds that we throw away, we do not know where they can, that they can be leveraged off and extract, just like you were talking about Marula. I think the ceremony that I think Eswatini does every year, as well as the Zulu Kingdom does every year, where you have got lots of those Amakanu, Marula. When you follow that thing, Amakanu, it's so interesting because you see birds drunk, baboons drunk, you see your elephants drunk. It's just beautiful. And people get drunk as well with this. But the seed part of it, like you were saying, needs to be utilized as part of the economy as well. So, well, on that note, Karen, I'm going to open up to everyone of the people, many of the people would like to ask you some questions. Already see some hands going up. I'm going to take about, if you can have something to write on, Karen, because we normally take about 2 or 3 questions at once, so that you can attend to those.
I'm supposed to have opened at 5.
Thank you. Let's get MM. I don't know who MM is, and Reverend Matsiriso, as well as Lunga, the chairman. In that order, please. MM, over to you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Wonderful, man. Lovely to make your acquaintance again. I lost you for a couple of years there with Mnoto, but not to belabor and waste time. Karen, thank you very much for the presentation. You make us proud, and all the work that yourself and the organization and the colleagues are doing. Mine, well, I think I've already put something down on the chat group to say how do we access the presentation in your contacts. But number 2, I've been working in local government for a very long time, close to 30 years. The work that you do, for me, has to have the support of our local government. I saw in one of the slides you talk about the partnership, the research, government, yourself, and industry, and so on and so forth. I would love to have a moment, perhaps with Ndate Xaba, yourself, and some of the colleagues, to really exploit this angle of having particularly our most impoverished communities participate in this industry. I'm not sure how exactly we're going to achieve that, and perhaps even before the conferences, but that if you can facilitate that, I introduce support to perhaps maybe say 6 municipalities where we already have funding for local economic development programs and so on and so forth. That will be much appreciated. Thank you, colleagues.
Okay, thank you so much, MM. Please do drop me. I hope you still have my number. If you don't, I'll give it to you. Drop me your contact details so I can take this discussion forward after this. Thank you so much.
I don't have your number. I don't have your number anymore. Sorry about that.
Okay, it's 0833 011 825. I'll put it here. 0833 011 825. So,
okay,
and then let's go to let's go to Rev.
Thank you, family. Ndate Xaba, we appreciate you. We thank God for your presence in our lives. We don't take you for granted, our dearest brother. Thank you for being you. Karen, Son of Pearl, I am already sold to be your member. How do I go about it?
That's lovely. How do I become a member? So Karen is going to answer you. There was a last person, I can't remember who it was, before I pick up the few hands. Who did I say it was? I don't see his or her hand right now. MM, the Rev, and the third person was Lunga. Yeah, Lunga the chair, yes. Go ahead, Lunga, thank you.
Evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Karen,
Oh,
for
chair Office Watini. Thank you.
This is Lunga Philakazi Dlamini, Chairman of Amandla Mnotho Eswatini. We are so glad that Eswatini has got a branch of Amandla Mnotho. Karen, I saw in your presentation you spoke about Lesotho and Eswatini importing most of the essential oils, and yet you say it's a southern essential oils. So my question is, when are you putting your footprint into Swaziland? And it would be unfair for me to ask it that way, but all I could say is Eswatini is available for you. We are ready to start working with you as Amandla Mnotho Eswatini. And most probably you'd have to come and make a U-turn here in Eswatini because of all the products that you've been mentioning. They're growing wild in Eswatini, and probably you would assist us to grow them in a controlled manner, and so we can then make good of it. Maybe another thing that I would love to ask is the rose oil. What kind of climate does it need? What kind of climate does it need for it to grow? And again, lastly, how do we partake on the MAPS program? Thank you, Karen.
Okay, thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair. Over to you, Karen, before we take other questions.
Yeah, before I forget, thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's you know, the SAOPA was born in Nelspruit. And we did a lot of trips to, then it was still Swaziland, and we visited Swazi Secrets. They were very far ahead of a lot of people at a certain time. So I'd love to go back and see, you know, how it is at the moment. Swaziland, or changed name now, Eswatini, and also Lesotho are importing some of the oils and adding value, and then putting it into creams and into lotions, which is a very good example for the rest of us to rather buy local, even if it's across the border, you know, to do that. So that was just as far as that. And the membership is very easy. There is a form you have to fill in, you just send it on to us, and it's got categories. So if you're a startup, it's in the lowest level. If you're an exporter, or if you're a corporate member, there's different categories for different people. We even have people in South Africa who pay it off every month because they can't afford it annually. So that is how we never put up our fees. We rather want more members so that everybody can afford it, and that we build our strength that way. On your question of the rose really wants cold. They grow better when it's cold. I'm staying in Pretoria, and the roses in my garden was beautiful. But if I look at what's going on in the Free State, I envy them. So wherever and there is areas where it's too cold for anything else, you can think of roses. It has to be handpicked, so it's labor intensive. That's the other thing, but it's $1 a drop, so that's quite something to look at. You know, if you think about that, you if you think about 4 to 5 tons give you about a cup of oil, but that's 250 milliliters, but every drop is $1. So it can be worthwhile. The Free State farmers showed us the way. So he made all the mistakes, and we don't have to repeat the mistakes. So if you're really interested in rose, I'll put you in touch with that farmer so you can talk to him. He's also learning a lot from our correspondents in Turkey, because remember, rose is actually indigenous from Turkey. I hope I have answered your questions.
Okay, no, thank you. I think SAOPA in Swaziland, definitely we will come, Chair. And I'm sure Karen has answered those questions. Let me move to Tanatswa in Zimbabwe, as well as the Samsung SM-A14. I don't know who it is. Kindly identify yourself. Let's start with Tanatswa. I'm going to read the comments as well on the group.
All right. Thank you so much, my brother, for this incredible presentation, which was which had been presented by Miss Karen. So I'm actually happy, as Miss Karen, she was also explaining about some of the initiatives that they also have been running here in Zim. So the first question is, how can I be a member of the youth chamber? Which she actually presented earlier, Youth Chamber 2023. How can it be someone like myself, a young aspiring farmer, a young entrepreneur, be part and parcel of this youth chamber? And also in terms of other, I don't know if I can say clubs, like the SACU, interview data sharing, which were actually happening in Zimbabwe. And also I need to be, if I can be part and parcel of those clubs and so on, so that I can also be part and parcel of this incredible experience. Um, that's the question that I have. But also as a contribution, um, looking at these different types of crops, especially the Amarula one. Here in Zimbabwe, there are a lot of Amarulas that are just lying idle. In the world, no one is actually taking care of those, not knowing that they actually have the value in terms of improving the agricultural sector. So it's actually also another important thing that also need to provide information to those farmers that are around Zim in terms of understanding the value of those things that they have in their respective areas. So that's also my contribution. Actually, a very educational presentation. I thank you.
Thanks so much, Dana. So let's go to Samsung SM9 and then Michelle.
No.
Samsung SM, the one who's raised their hand. I don't know who it is. Okay, Michelle, over to you. Please unmute yourself, colleagues.
Hi.
Sorry, Michelle, it sounds like you've got two gadgets opened. Just close another one, please.
Okay.
Close another gadget and use one.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Michelle.
Okay.
No, you've got two gadgets there. It sounds like they are conflicting. Samsung, whilst Michelle is busy sorting herself, the Samsung SM number, or you're no longer going to ask the question, right? Michelle, are you ready? Can you try it again?
Yes. I don't know. I just use one device.
No, we can't. I think I'm not the only one who's got a problem with Michelle.
Hello, I'm Samsung.
Okay, Samsung, go ahead.
I'm Monica Zungu from Vryheid. Good afternoon to you all. I just saw a link and I heard about ALS and I just decided to join. I'm very happy about what I've just heard about. I wasn't aware that South Africa is doing something like this. I've got one question. I saw something on TV which they say it's $1 billion industry. What they produce is called Purslane. I don't know if you know about Purslane because there are many benefits. One of the benefits is omega-3. I've got it in the garden. It grows as wheat. I think it can make an essential oil because omega-3 is very good, especially we know that many people have problems with their eyesight. If you can Google and check Purslane, most of the people will know it. It grows in gardens, is a weed. but it's audible. I'm just gonna cook it now to eat it. If it would be possible, I can take a picture and send it to your WhatsApp, because I took your number, so that you can see what it is.
Okay, sis, you can send it. Thank you so much. I think Karen is gonna answer you on that. Thank you so much. So, Karen, maybe attempt those questions, please.
Okay, let me start with a question on the youth chamber. If you are younger than 35, you just fill in the application form and you indicate that you want to also be part of the youth chamber. You send us a photo and we join you there. And then that is a chamber within. In other words, within SAOPA, we have a chamber for the youth, but they are also welcome to join any other chamber or all of them if you want. Some people hate the WhatsApp groups, and other people can't get enough. So it's up to you if you want to join the other chambers as well. But I must say that we have changed the name to Active Youth Chamber, because there were also some people that just joined it and just ride along for free. But if you are part of the youth chamber, there's going to be certain things that we're going to expect of you to, to be there, to be present, for example, and to voice and to give us some feedback. So it's very easy it's not an extra application form for that. And then in Zimbabwe, we have got great people in Zimbabwe. I can name them. They are also members of us, like Kaza Oils is a champion on the continent. I found her oil. She is, Naira is her name. She's from Zimbabwe. I found her oils in Zanzibar. So Zimbabwe has got a very strong marula sector. I do think if you work together as a country, also if you join SAOPA, you will see it's also going on in Zambia now, and we know that Namibia has also been there. Botswana at this stage has stopped doing marula, but they can bounce back anytime. So Zimbabwe has got a very long harvesting season. So when our marulas are finished, there is still marulas in Zimbabwe. So I think it's we will not be competing against each other for the same market. And remember, there's a standard for marula. So if you comply to the standard, you can negotiate at the price. For a very long time, some countries had low prices just because, and other countries had high prices just because. Now it depends on your quality. And I listened to a webinar earlier this morning in Botswana, where they're doing big moringa, and they said, if you've got quality, the markets come to you. So I learned a lesson there, and maybe that is something that we need to look at. And that relates to a question I saw on the chat about the US. We have got agents in the US, and the tariffs is definitely affecting us. It has affected our citrus oils tremendously. We are working on that. There are people that are not sleeping at night. They are working on this constantly. So we really hope that it won't be affecting us on the long term. But we've seen similar things happening in the past with uranium when South Africa had sanctions. We also had this. So what happened then, we sold our oil to India, and India sold it to Europe. First to the UK because of existing trade agreements. So there's always ways. And one has to be creative and innovative. You should not be discouraged by things that is happening. But yes, that is as far as that. And then for Monica's question, thank you for mentioning it personally, Monica. It is a weed, as you say. We are walking on gold. We're not realizing it. You will be the first one in South Africa to do it. We are importing it while we're working on it. So thank you for bringing the attention to that. It's really something that we have to look at a little bit carefully. It's not only the khaki balls or the blackjacks that's weeds that makes money. There's a lot of things we just don't know about it. We are sometimes, I think, too hungry. We only think of food. But if you sell perfume, you can buy lots of food. So, yeah, that was a very good question, and thank you for that. Did I miss a question? Did I address it all?
Well, you addressed them all. I think I'm just going to give this one more last chance, and then we close. And please do check, Karen, check on the chat box so that you can.
Well, I'll do that.
Yeah, please check so that I can answer some of those questions. And thank you so much for appreciating messages. We see them, and thank you very much. And Michelle, too, so that we then close after you. Can you speak then, Michelle?
Yes, I
Yes,
can.
yes, Hey, Michelle, there is a problem right there. Are you having one gadget?
It must be two computers.
There's two computers, it seems. Just
One.
switch off the other one, or even get out of the other one completely.
We use
Oh, no. Maybe write your question. It's okay. Write your question. And Minentle?
Thank you, Nonkos. Afternoon, colleagues.
Sure.
My question is, Karen, maybe to be considered to be part of the SAOPA, do you need to be already planting, or you can just be a member without planting? And then how much would you need maybe to set up to be considered for the Operation SAOPA, or you take any volumes? How does it work? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Before Karen, oh, you want to come in quick,
Okay.
Karen?
So I was waiting for that question. So yes, I can tell you, you don't need to have planted already. We take startups. In other words, you just come in as an interested person. Some people join just because they've got a hobby. So you don't, and it depends on how much you want to do later and what other categories you can move up to. But just come in as a learner and you see then where you will go, what crop, how much to do, and where you want to go to. So the entry level is 750 Rand per year. That's not much. And then if you are already exporting, then obviously then it's different. We don't have per kilo like Australia, but then it's 1,200. And then if you are a very big exporter or a heavyweight, it's 2,500. So I hope I've got the numbers right. But that is more or less how it works.
Okay, thank you so much. And Taranipo? And Taranipo, unmute.
Hello. Good afternoon. Siyabonga Nonkosi for this opportunity. Igama uNhlakanipho Thabete. I'm an upcoming young farmer based ePongola. I'm also secretary of Pongola Business Forum. My first question is about Umsuzwane.
Okay,
Should I
so
carry
go
on? I
ahead,
think there's someone
Taranipo. Ayo, please
Okay.
don't speak there.
Yes, my
Yeah.
first question is about Umsuzwane, also called Dilipia Javanica or something. I once heard something about Umsuzwane, so I just want to know that is it also possible to plant this kind of a plant, or we just need to protect and preserve the ones that grow naturally, because we do have a lot of naturally grown umsuzwane in our areas. So I just want to know, is it possible to also propagate it using maybe some methods that we can learn from SAOPA? And then my second one, it's not a question though, it's a comment. I've once read the research about castor plant. In Zulu is called, or in Nguni languages is called umhlafutwa or umhlakuva. I once met a certain lady in Joburg who was in communication with guys from Saudi Arabia, I think, or UAE. They were looking for this oil. So I just want to know if it's possible to understand which one, because there are so many different types of castor plants. So after joining SAOPA, is it possible for them to advise you as to which type that is more probable for commercial sales? And then my question, okay, yeah, this is the question I wanted to ask earlier. When joining as a member of SAOPA, is it possible for them to issue a letter of endorsement in a form of giving you as a member support when maybe you're trying to talk to investors? Because some other challenges we have in our farms is infrastructure, especially fencing. So is it possible to get a letter of endorsement, like to support your application, or maybe you're applying for funding? And then the
Okay.
fourth one, last one. Is SAOPA aligned to Biotrade in Southern Africa? It's also called Abios SA. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. I think I'm going to allow you, Karen. There's so many questions that the brother has asked. Maybe just respond to those.
I hope I can remember them in order. The Abiosa is only relevant for indigenous plants. So the castor oil is not indigenous. That is exotic, as moringa and so many things. So for Abiosa is an initiative where they want to try and increase the trade, and we work very closely with them. This is a very small industry, so you have to work together because otherwise you will never get anywhere. You know the thing that they say, if you want to go fast, you go alone, but if you want to go far, you take hands, and this is definitely applicable to that. And the castor oil, you know, we are importing it from India. Now, castrol that you put in your car is castor oil. And I can't believe that South Africa is not doing more in it. There's a lady in Tonga. Tonga is on the border, Mpumalanga, KZN, those of you who know. She is doing very, very well with her castor oil, and she set an example. So what we do in SAOPA is we help you identify the correct species. We point you to the people who's doing the machines. It's called pressed. And then after that, you have to test your oil. If you don't test your oil, you will be exploited by the buyer. So we've got laboratories in South Africa that we've got arrangement with. If it's indigenous and if it's that 5 focus species, you can have it free tested at Nemisa in Pretoria. If it is marula or it is baobab or if it is Kalahari melon or Zeminia or Manketi, you can also test it for free in Tsanin. But basically, without the test, you have nothing. And even moringa, test it. Some of it is not for free, some of it is. And my advice would be is do a sample first. Let us have a look at the quality. Then you know your price, and then you can do the calculations. There was a question about the letter. What we have is, if you join as a member, we give you a letter of support. And we cover the technical aspects. We cover also the markets. The banks are very nervous. They want to do risk management. So they don't know essential oils. They want to know who you're talking to. So if you say you're a member of the association, that's risk reduction. And then also, if you tell them something about the size of the market, they feel better about it. So to answer your question, yes, we do give you a letter of support. That's what we call it. There is also offtake agreements from international and also local. If there's an oil that you do that is in demand, we talk to the buyer and they give you that. It helps with funding.
Wow, that is very, very good, because that's normally what becomes a problem for many farmers. And the fact that SAOPA to offer that support, it really makes a great deal for them and makes it easy. Michelle, you the last. I think try it. Let's see. Just write the question, Michelle. It doesn't seem to be working. In the meantime, no, it's not working. In the meantime, I think Ayanda asked a question. Powerful presentation. Thanks, Michelle. I'm about to venture into moringa planting. How will I know which one is the quality and on demand? The second question is, does Lipia grow in the Eastern Cape? Msuzwane, Msutane, Neswati. Quickly,
yes.
Karen?
Okay. On the moringa side, there is a way how you look at the moringa seed, and we have got moringa experts on the board of SAOPA, which I can refer you to and tell you step by step how you look at before you plant, that you know you've got the right one. So yes, but be careful, moringa don't like cold too much, so it's got to be a good area, you know, with enough heat factors before you can make a success with the moringa. Remember, moringa can either go for the leaves in a powder form or extract or the oil. So when it comes to Lipia javanica, there is spots in the Eastern Cape that it will grow, but it grows much better in KZN and in Limpopo because of the heat index. But yes, I saw it myself. It is in the Eastern Cape. It's actually a wonderful province because it's got a bit of everything around us. Just be careful again. much frost, then you won't get a second or a third harvest. You will only have a smaller harvest.
Okay,
So
fantastic.
that's
Yeah.
it, yes.
Thank you. That's very good. By the way, Karen, we once attempted, I think I spoke to you offline about this. We once attempted the castor business, and many of our farmers here, and maybe some who are not here, they farmed that. But whoever was leading that program, unfortunately, did such disservice to the members. I will engage you on the castor because I know that's a huge opportunity, right? But let's talk about that some other time. Michelle has finally managed to send the message there. We already supply castor beans to Swazi Secret in Eswatini, and we've got cold press for face lifting and roasting for hair growing. If we would like to do the essential castor oil, we'll use which part of the stem? Which part of the stem must we use? Or a leaf or a beans? Would you please answer that?
It is still the seed, it's still cold pressed. It's the same thing. And it's great if you're already working with Swazi Secrets. You can also do return the favor and export to South Africa because we are importing from India at this stage.
Yeah. No, that's good. So, Michelle, sorry about your noise there. I think you probably have heard the answer, and you can always engage further because your line seems to be really having a problem. Right? And how and where can we get the seeds for 1 hectare and for how much? Right?
Okay, so what seed is that? I didn't get it.
What seed is that, Londiwe? Right? I'm not sure what seeds is Londi you're talking about. Maybe she's going to clarify that. Karen, you've already answered that one. I need people
I just want to mention something. When
Go
you be very careful with seeds at any nursery, because remember, you need a specific chemotype. So a lot of people have made a lot of mistakes buying cheap plants at the first and best nursery around the corner. You must make sure you've got the right chemotype, and the best way then is to go cuttings.
Yeah, thank you for that advice. So Nhlanipo, I think yours has been already answered because Nhlanipo is saying he needs partners to do commercial castor planting. So, right. And then, geranium, I think that's what Londi was talking about, geranium seeds, right? Right.
If you allow me to talk about geranium, I'll talk until tomorrow because that is my big love in my life. But I'll make it short. Geranium is a hybrid. It means it's been hybridized from 3 different species, so it's sterile. There is no seed, and you have to have a cutting. Otherwise, you're going to have either no yield or you're going to have the wrong chemistry. So there is a nursery that we can recommend, and this is actually run by Nana Makubu, it's our chairperson. She can point out for you the right, the wrong ones, and you can place an order with her. Start with a mother block, and from there do your own cuttings. Don't make the mistake of buying it from a nursery who says rose geranium. Many people have lost a lot of money that way.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, thank you, Karen. I see the other comment is from Godfrey. We've got market in Germany who would like to present next week. We'll discuss that, Dr. Marange, for that, and then see where the opportunity comes for you to present those markets. Okay, colleagues, it's way after our hour. I would like to truly thank you for having come through and ensuring that you are part of this very important session. This is not the last Karen is going to be with us. We'll continue and engage and ensure that we even sign some MOUs further, Karen, on the Rural Chamber of Commerce and Industry, so that we bring more of our farmers to you so that we really get them assisted. We want practical help that is going to make sure that there is all the processes followed in terms of them. Number one, farming under the right conditions, farming the correct crops or harvesting the correct crops, making sure that they adhere to all the necessary standards, because what becomes important here is not just to hear the opportunity, it is the standard and the processes and procedures you must follow in order to produce what becomes ultimately a product that goes to the market. But importantly, we want markets secured for our farmers. And this being the essential oil space is very vast. And as you said, you couldn't exhaust everything that relates to it. But thank you so much for really having come. Maybe your last parting shot before we close, Karen.
Yes, what I wanted to say to people, it's wonderful to see so many people interested in this industry. It's really, I think, one of the sectors that's been neglected for a very long time. We were only talking about food security, and what we see now is if you plant the essential oils as an intercrop between your vegetables, you don't have to sacrifice your existing crop. And there was a question about existing plants. You can plant the essential oil crops in between. It's a wonderful complementing vegetables because you won't have whiteflies. Because of the strong smell, it repels the insects. So that is just something that we are looking in future. And then if you save on your chemicals, you're definitely going to get a better crop, and it's easier to get organic certification. That's the last thing I wanted to say. Try to go get organic certification as well.
I'm going to ask you to assist, maybe even bring somebody, Karen, next time, who's going to assist us on how to get these organic certifications for these international markets. This has been an Achilles heel for me because we are dealing with lots of medicinal herbs and essential oils, but what becomes crucial is to get to know how do people, whether they're doing Global Gap or they're doing your other certification bodies. Please, let's engage next time on that. It's not something to just gloss over, right?
Correct. Yes, we can do that. There's a new term also that called the regenerative agriculture. So that's also high fashionable. We can do the two together in a whole session.
We're definitely going to be doing that. Appreciate it. Colleagues, this recording is available on Amandla Umnoto TV on YouTube. Please go there, indulge yourself on all the conversations that we've had, and including this one. I think it's going to be uploaded by our IT guys tomorrow, so that even you share the link with other people so that they can get educated. We need to mobilize ourselves for economic emancipation. We need to push for the agenda of entrepreneurship in our country, in our continent, and our region. We've got more than enough things to do than just to sit and not in our generation. Thank you so much to all of you for having come through. We will be meeting next week, but where possible, we'll be meeting during the week as well when there are other urgent matters. So keep tabs and make sure that you are connected to our WhatsApp groups. That's where we announce, including our Facebook page, my Facebook page, Kukulethu Chikaba, as well as Amandla Umnoto. Thank you. May you have a fantastic week ahead. God bless you. Good evening.